Tonight is about your neighborhood and what they've accomplished. We'll be going over the survey results and some of the crime stats as far as what happened in your neighborhood over that time frame. And we'll also be going over where we're going to go from here, because our work is definitely not done. But before I do that, I'd like to go ahead and make some introductions and let some of these people say a few words. Behind you, I think most of you already know and made comments when they both walked in, is your Lancaster Councilwoman, Sherry Marcus, and your Lancaster City Manager, Mark Levine. So I'll go ahead and give the floor to you.
Thank you very much. We are so honored to be here because it's a great day in the Antelope Valley. We're able to now double-digit crime together. That's a big deal. And that's your question. Who's most responsible for the crime going down? Any answers? They're very responsible. Okay, they're the heroes. We're the ones that get to stand up here, but there's a group that's more responsible than those folks. That's exactly right. Okay? Crime does not happen, crime reduction does not happen without citizens getting involved. Okay? It's a team. Sheriff Bach, I don't know if any of you had a chance to see on the news last night or go to the press conference, but he talked about something I'd never heard before, but it hit me. It's called community trust policing, which means that citizens and the sheriff's department and city government all trust each other and are working on the same side. You don't need to fear the sheriff's department, you don't need to fear the city government. And from our point of view, we don't need to fear opening up and telling you we can't do it without you. We need to hear from you. We need to hear when we're doing something that you don't like us doing, and we need to do more of it. But what we need to realize is that 95% of the people in the Antelope Valley are good people who don't want what the 5% of the bad people are doing. Okay? We need you to point them out. We need to, and if we're not doing our job, if the sheriff's department's not doing their job, and we need to continue to point that out so you get the results you need. You guys are the heroes for making your neighborhood safer. So when you hear all the good statistics today and all that stuff, you get it, people involved. It doesn't happen without that. So I salute you, and I know the councilwoman is throwing up the woman.
The only thing I want to say is I'm just a citizen, and I started off just like some of you that went to city council and was really complaining about crime. And probably Mark Levine was one of the officers who came to the. But you know what?
So she became my boss.
But, well, I never thought in a million years I would, that would lead to that, but one thing did lead to another. But it is got to be the citizens. And more and more I found out, you are the eyes and ears of these guys. They cannot do the job without you. But you've got to help them. You've got to call in those tips, and you've got to call in when you see something suspicious going on in your neighborhood. You've got to get out and you've got to ask questions. And you've got to call them. You've got to help them. I appreciate you being here tonight. That's huge. And your neighborhood is going to get better and better. And these people here are here to help you. They will go backwards, and they are, everything that they're doing right now is stand for excellence. And that's what the city of Lancaster wants to do, and that's what these guys want to do. And Captain Anderson is, he's my manager. So treat him well, okay?
Thank you all.
Talking about community, people going on that theme.
See Natalie.
Yes, I'm getting over here. Since we're on the theme of community involvement, the director for our community law enforcement partnership program, Kansas County Sheriff's Department, snuck in here, so I'd like to give her the floor for a few minutes because she's definitely very involved in these programs. Natalie Macias.
Good evening. I apologize for being late. I came up from our headquarters building in Monterey Park, and it was just a quick 2 hours up tonight, so it wasn't too bad. It rained a little bit, so not too bad. But I wanted to make sure I was here tonight because these meetings are important, and the efforts that our community policing teams do in coming out, trying to get some information from you in terms of what are some issues that you specifically feel affect your neighborhood and your homes, the schools around you, the businesses. And we want to try to partner as much with the city in dealing with a lot of issues that may not just be law enforcement issues, but we need to bring other agencies together as resources for you. When we go out and we do our community policing surveys, a number of you may have never had a positive contact with a deputy sheriff or a law enforcement officer before. And I know sometimes people are surprised when someone knocks on their door and they think, oh my gosh, what's going on in this neighborhood? But we think that that's one of the ways, too, that we can help better the communication between our department and the neighborhood. We do this all throughout Los Angeles County. Today's Thursday, right? Thursday? Okay. Saturday morning, we'll be doing community policing surveys in our Compton unincorporated area. So we tried this strategy all throughout the county. And we find it helps promote neighborhood watch programs, becoming more active in your neighborhood, helping with the school watch programs, business watch, becoming more active with the parks that are in your area. And also, we're constantly looking for volunteers, people that want to come out and be a volunteer with our Lancaster and Palmdale station. I don't see any volunteers here today, but they can do a variety of different activities, from helping out at the station front counter to being part of our metal detector unit, to volunteering for our volunteers on patrol, which will help in being our eyes and ears out in the neighborhood. So we have a variety of different things that not only do we want to be part of your neighborhood and solve some of the issues here, but we want you to be part of our family and work with us on some things. So again, thank you for coming out tonight, and I'll turn it back over to Lieutenant Johnson and Captain Lee.
Thanks, Natalie. Now the next gentleman, I think probably you've seen either in the news media or met personally. He's the captain of Lancaster Station that oversees everything that's going on out here. So I'd like to give him the floor.
Well, that's pretty much impossible to do everything, but I do the best I can. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. Just by being here says something about how much you care about your community, and I'm really, really happy to see you. What I want to kind of start out with here is the big picture scene of what's going on with crime in the Lancaster area. Part 1 crime, or what we know as serious crime, is down by about 10.5% in the city of Lancaster right now. And I'll tell you what, there's a whole bunch of, I think, accolades to go around over that. And I think that the city manager mentioned that there are a whole bunch of people that are responsible for that. And what I want to do is just kind of read through for you some of the specific Part 1 crime statistics, because I'll tell you, you're going to have to look probably back to about 2001 to see these types of significant lowering of crime rates. Homicides are down by over 15% in the city of Lancaster. Robbery is down by about 18% or more. Assaults are down 5.7%. Burglaries are down 3.1%. Thefts are down 5.2%. Auto theft is down by just an almost astounding 40.2%. And arson is down by about 28%. So there's been some really, really good work done here. I do need to mention that one of those Part 1 crimes is rapes. That has slightly come up and involves very few incidents. And what we found is that we have very few rapes that actually involve the kind of person that we think of, the sinister individual that's sneaking around out there that doesn't know his victims and is breaking into homes and things like that. They're mostly boyfriend-girlfriend disputes. A lot of them are acquaintance rapes and this type of thing. And the point that I'm trying to make is those are very, very hard to prevent. We have outstanding investigators. And if we have an individual that's sneaking around out there raping individuals that's not known to them by breaking into homes. We can take care of that, but the problem of date rape is a much harder one to take care of. We intend to work on that also, particularly through education programs. The other good piece of good news, I think, is that gang crime is down by about 27% in the city of Lancaster. So we know, that we've still got a problem with gangs, and we're going to work on these people very, very hard. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned a couple times over the last month, we've got somewhere in the area of about 70 different active gangs out here in the Antelope Valley in general, and probably over 4,500 active gang members in those gangs. And we're going to continue to work on that, and we're not going to rest, really, until we've eliminated these people as threats to our community. They're either going to jail, we're going to do what we can through the programs that we have available to rehabilitate them, or we're going to run them out of the area. It's as simple as that. We cannot have that kind of gang problem here. All these good things that happened, and I think the city manager touched on it, didn't happen by accident. It happened via a whole bunch of work. And it happened because you got involved. You people got involved. You gave us the information that we need in order to go ahead and continue to do the good police work that we've been doing and investigate. Sheriff Baca likes to call it public trust policing. And public trust policing really does mean that you have a police department that you're not afraid of, that you're happy to work with, along with us, to help make our neighborhoods safer and to help bring up the quality of living in our neighborhoods. And we really want that. It also happened because of our city council and Mayor Paris. And not just because of all the wonderful resources that Mayor Paris has given to us. He's increased our contract and given us the equipment we need to get out and get the job done properly. But he's also done a good job of supporting us with his very strong, very committed words. And you know what? Our deputies feel that support. Our deputies understand that they have a city behind them, and they understand that they have a community behind them. And I can't tell you how much that does for their morale, how much it does for them in terms of inspiring them to get out there and do the job they know they need to do to make this a better community. And that's the last one I wanted to mention is our hard-working deputies. I'll tell you, I've worked around the county. I've been on the Sheriff's Department for 30 years, and I've worked my share of different assignments in 3 different stations. And I have never seen the kind of dedication and hard work that I've seen going on at this station, and I mean that. These deputies are dedicated. They feel your support, and I'll tell you what, there's nothing better they like to do than get out there and get the job done for you. So I just want to let you know that. I guess just to wrap this up, what I really want to say is, once again, thank you so much for being here. We have no intention of now abandoning this area. We're going to be in here maintenance-wise, continuing to work with you, staying in contact with you. You have my number at the station. Please call if you have any concerns, and we'll work with you. But we really are dedicated to getting this job done for you. So thank you very much.
I was asked yesterday at the press conference on, why everything's working so well. And again, in my role, I oversee a lot of things occurring throughout the Antelope Valley, both at Lancaster and Palmdale, both in the law enforcement side, the community side, as well as the business side. And I'll tell you, for me, it's very simple. From a third person looking out to respond to that type of question, why it's working, there is more synergy, more energy in this Antelope Valley than I've ever seen anywhere that I've ever worked. And what I mean by that is just what the captain, the city manager just mentioned, is it's not just law enforcement going out there trying to solve the problems. especially when you have communities that are trying to raise families, live life in peace, that are willing to get involved. And that is definitely what we have seen, a dramatic increase. And we will hear some of the numbers with Neighborhood Watch. And just like the captain said, public trust policing, it's not going to work if you don't trust us and you don't become engaged. And we are seeing huge numbers of individuals within the communities getting engaged, willing to start up a Neighborhood Watch program for their area. The numbers are staggering how much those programs have increased, not only in Lancaster, but in Palmdale as well. And with that kind of energy, it's almost impossible not to have success, not to have reductions. And I made that comment to somebody about a year ago when I came into this position. I said, if we can't make things change with everything we have in place out here, then I would almost agree with the comment that was said a couple of years ago, it's too late. But we have shown it's not too late for change. It's not too late to turn the tide. It has been turned. The momentum is on our side. To give you some other pretty impressive stats that all these individuals over here have been involved in since about April and June of last year, some strategies have actually led to dramatic reductions in gang-related crime. Since June, for Lancaster, you have had a reduction, and it's a combination of a lot of things. But we started getting very aggressive towards the gangs out here in Lancaster. Been doing a lot of operations, focusing on multiple gang members, multiple gangs, and hitting them as a whole. But you have had reductions such as gang-related assaults with a firearm, 25% in just that 6 months, which is pretty significant. Shootings at inhabited dwellings has had a reduction of over 50%. Your gang-related homicides since June of last year have reduced almost 70%. And that's just for Lancaster. So Palmdale's had similar results, and so it's working out here. And again, it's a combination of everybody's effort. Earlier it was mentioned the heroes, and I have to tell you, and I'm being selfish now from the law enforcement, the sheriff's department side, your heroes have been out here for several months, since August. They were working with you. You know most of them probably by face, if not by name. But it's all these individuals standing over here in this back wall that made up the high impact team. And I'd like to introduce their sergeant, Robert Hill. Bob, if you want to go ahead and introduce your team if they don't know them.
I got Shane Maloney on my team here. I got Chuck Freeland. There's another guy that went to the inauguration of the president, Kevin Piercy. He's not here tonight. I've got Steve Crosby. He's right here. And Jennifer Peterson and Derek Bumgarner. They're all on my team, part of the Lancaster Navy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and I work with these teams, the high impact teams, the crime impact teams, the gang enforcement teams. Everybody has their role in this initiative. But I'm here to tell you, this team in particular is one of the best teams that I see out here in the Antelope Valley. And what I mean by that, they are so well blended as a team. They have strong points in a lot of different areas, and I've witnessed what they do in your communities and other communities and how they interact, and they're perfect for this type of a job, and they've done a good job. And what I want to let you know is, in August, when they came out here, and it was actually July, and did that initial survey, they surveyed over 207 of you as far as your problems, what you wanted done in your community. They took that information and they made safety plans. And they put together plans, 46 plans on what they wanted to address while they were over here for the 120 days. And I'll tell you, some interesting things came out of that survey. How many participated in that initial survey? Anybody? Okay, a couple of you? Well, out of that 207 people, it's interesting because we do these usually by the hundreds, these initial surveys. But to give you an idea, when one of the questions that was asked, you may remember, was how safe you feel walking in your neighborhood after dark. Okay? Only about 23% of you, of that 207, said they felt safe or very safe walking after dark. That's really not too acceptable. I mean, we should all feel safe. This is our neighborhood. We live here. It's time to take it back. Well, that is a pretty profound number. When they came in and started working those 46 cases, some of the primary cases that you let them know that you wanted worked on were gangs. You listed gangs pretty high. Narcotics was actually the highest problem that you felt was in your neighborhood. The vacant houses, very large problem for you. those were some of the foundations that they went off of, and they worked on them, and you know they were out here and they did their job. And when I looked at the after-action survey, what I was most impressed about, yes, they made arrests. Yes, they handled the situation. Yes, they reduced some of the narcotic activity, arrested some gang members, served some search warrants, did a whole lot of work on Section 8 properties and getting people terminated that weren't living in them, you know, the way they're supposed to, were violating their conditions. But what I was impressed with is the question, that same question I just told you about. They asked, how do you feel now? That after-action survey, now we're up to 50%. That's still not great, but it's almost twice of what you felt before. So at least 50% of you felt safe after dark. We're not leaving until we get that number in as high as possible, hopefully 100% of you. So the gang members, who I'm assuming you're afraid of, they're the ones that don't feel safe walking around after dark. That's the way it should be. But even more impressive, another after-action survey number I thought was very relevant is the quality of service. How you felt about the service you received from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Now that number was very high. Over 90% of you felt that you were very satisfied with the quality of service the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department gave you. And it was really primarily as a result of that interaction you had every day with these guys, the patrol deputies from Lancaster Station that are coming into your neighborhoods on a daily basis and helping you in whatever you may need. So again, that was some of the numbers. I have this survey and all the after-action stuff. We can talk about it. But again, it's not all about the numbers. It's about getting you where you want to go. And so there's going to be a transition. What happens is after these high-impact teams come in and they resolve some of your issues, and as I just told you, not all of them are completely resolved, we then transition that over to the community deputies. Lancaster, in partnership with the city, and this is a great thing that's going on in the Antelope Valley, is last year they implemented, or they separated the city into different core zones. And each zone has a deputy assigned. They're like the general for that particular area. They're the point person that you go to for your problems. And they go ahead and they put up safety plans, put them together. But what's great about the way this is set up out here is now that one individual has access to all of our resources. So if they want to do a big operation, or they need to go back and do some more work on some of the narcotic or the gangs or the vacant properties, they can call upon all of our resources. And there's quite a bit of us. There's, like I said, there's high impact teams, there's gang enforcement teams, there's crime impact teams, and we bring them all together as a collective group, and it makes a pretty impressive group. And we can go out and we can do these multiple location, whether it's search warrants or just sweeps or whatever need be. But that's at their disposal, and that's the way it's set up. So with that, I'd actually like to introduce the deputy that has this area, has his zone. It's Corps Deputy Dan Inez.
Hi everybody, I just want to say thanks for coming out. It's great to actually see all of you guys here. It does speak volumes that you do come out and show interest in your community. And what we want is to help maintain that belief in your community and continue the trust that you've developed already with the deputies. Allow me to get started. I am Dan Inez. I am one of the 4 members of the core team here for Lancaster Station. And along the back, I'm going to introduce you to the rest of my team. Starting on the left is Deputy Mark Madrid, Deputy Arnold Kim, our team sergeant, Sergeant Randy Harris, and our other member, Mike Rowe. It's all of us that make up the core team, and we are the ones that come into the community with the high impact team. And once they moved on to another area, we stay behind and do our best to maintain and continue to reduce the crime that's in your area and continue addressing the concerns that you may have. Just to give you an idea of what's been done during the several months that the high impact team has been here, with the high impact team, the core team, and some of the other teams that are at the station, there's been over 25 separate operations in this area alone that have touched your general community right in this area. 25 separate operations. And they may address any number of issues. It could be code enforcement issues when we talk about vacant properties. It could be Section 8 for those that are attempting to abuse their assistance that they've been receiving from the government, or it could be gang sweeps that we may be coming. So whatever the issues that have been brought up by you, the community, has been brought to our attention through the safety plans. We've seen that. We see if there's a reduction, but we want to keep on working with that. And that's where we come in now, where we don't want to make it seem that the Sheriff's Department has moved on and forgotten about you, because you haven't been forgotten. There was a reason we were here in the beginning. We want to make sure that we stay around and continue those efforts. But as they've all stated, it is a community effort. It takes all of us together to reduce the crime and eliminate the problems that you see in the community. So what we like to do is express to you that we want to hear more from you. You've done the surveys, you've taken the after surveys again, but we want to keep hearing from you. And one of those ways is we want you to give us a call. We have some flyers over on the table for the core team. It has our phone number, it has our email. If you want to pass along those tips that you may have, concerns for ongoing problems in your community, anything that you see, maybe you see some rundown houses, there's these cars that never seem to go away, they look like they're broken down. Anything that is of concern to you, we want to hear from you. Nothing is too small. Give us a call, let us know, and we'll keep working on that together. One of the big points that we like to stress is the Neighborhood Watch program. Shelley Hansen from the city has gone leaps and bounds with the Neighborhood Watch program, and a lot of the information that we receive once the HIT team has moved on, we receive a lot of that actually from the Neighborhood Watch members, Neighborhood Watch block captains. They send us information about what they see, or the block captains may get information from their meetings about what everyone's concerns are. They're then transferred to us by phone call, by email, maybe even the city gets those, they're passed along to us. We generate new safety plans, new operations, new things to come into your community and bring it up to the standards that you want to see for your community. So please, before you leave today, take a look at the Neighborhood Watch stuff here from the Public Safety Office. Make sure you pick up a flyer from the core team. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. If you want us to come out and meet with you personally, we'll also do that.
Okay, thanks, Dan. There's two other people I definitely want to have their names resonate with you, because they're definitely very, very involved in a lot of the efforts that are going on in your neighborhood and what's about to be the next target area, which will be almost directly south of here. So this high impact team is going to still be close by. They're just going to be a little south for the next 90 to 120 days. But their leader, their lieutenant, does a phenomenal job. He oversees not only the high impact teams for both stations, but he also oversees that crime impact team. And that crime impact team is more of a regional between Palmdale, Lancaster, and Santa Clarita. But they're up here every few weeks for a week at a time, and then they go to one of the other areas. But they're really good at isolating on specific problems. So if you have something that comes up, we funnel it all the way through this network, and it goes to them. So when they're up here, they're the special team that could go in and just hit specific problems for a week at a time and just put a lot of effort in. But their lieutenant is Randy Dickey back there, and he definitely is worth knowing because he does a lot of work out here. He's one of the most dedicated individuals I know, because he'll be in our operations till midnight on one night, and then he'll be at a whole other part of the county, kind of like this lady right here, another part of the county at 4 a.m. the next day because they're doing sweeps elsewhere. He's just, I don't know if he ever sleeps. The other individual is probably one of the most well-known lieutenants in this area. He knows everyone, and I recognize that, and you already know who I'm talking about. And he is definitely a valuable person as far as the overall component and success of everything that's going on out here. And that's Lieutenant Don Doughton from Lancaster Detective Bureau. He's the kind of individual that if you call, he will know if somebody doesn't have an answer, he'll have the answer. And if not, he will definitely get an answer for you. He knows everyone in this city, all the connections, who know whether it's code enforcement, parks and rec, every aspect of the city. I've never, ever, once, if I've had a question or wanted to know what was going on, he has the answer. So it's a very valuable person to know. He oversees these the the core deputies, as well as the high impact, not the high impact, but some of the other specialized programs at Lancaster that work with everybody here. So again, valuable person to know. Now, getting into what can really help you. Law enforcement, we can help you, obviously. We're part of this partnership, but it's really these individuals over here that work for the city that are critically important. Whenever I do one of these, I talk about relationships and how important they are to have solid foundations. How many of you are married? Okay. How many have been married for over 5 years? 10 years? 15 years? 20 years? 20, it's California, you can add all your marriages together. 25 years? This middle row is waiting for the big numbers. 30 years? 35? She's getting tired. Oh, your hand came up. What, are we adding marriages together now? It's the same one? Okay. I got to just get, because we're at big numbers here. How many years you been married? 50? Can you beat 50? Oh, you're not? 50? Very, very impressive. Let me ask you this. How many of you have kids? Okay, everybody's hands come up. How many kids do you have? 50? 5? Okay. That deserves a round of applause. What I'm getting at, the reason I bring relationships into this is that relationships take a tremendous amount of effort. They're never easy. I mean, they're never easy. They're easy at times, but over long, they take a lot of commitment. Whether it's marriage, being involved in a significant relationship, raising kids, tremendous amount of effort and commitment. For this to all work, we're going to need that effort and commitment. It is a marriage we're willing to enter into. We'll be here for you, but you have to be there for us. There will be good times, there will be bad times. Working with the city. These programs are so critically important. I advocate Parks and Rec probably more than any other for one reason only. We have to get these kids involved. So whether you have kids that are still young and able to get involved, or you have grandkids, they need to be involved in something. And that is probably one of the greatest resources they have in this city. There's so many programs available. They don't all have to be involved in sports. There's other things they can do. But find what they love to do and get them connected to it so that they can stay involved. Because all the studies have shown when these kids stay involved, they're less likely to get involved in drugs, smoking, sex, violence. Those are pretty impressive results that have been looked at over time. So get them involved, and it's so important. So I want to introduce Shelley Henson from the City of Lancaster Public Safety and say a few words on the Neighborhood Watch and some of the other programs.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. As you've already heard, we have our Neighborhood Watch information here tonight. And I'll just go ahead and introduce the city. Patty was going to do that. But actually, Deputy Montez Dioga, he's our crime prevention deputy. So he was introduced. Craig from the Public Safety Office.